Alright, in this video I'll be going over the test 2 review. So let's go ahead and get started. It says for the polynomial 8 minus x plus 2x cubed minus 3x to the 4th plus 12x to the 5th, find each of the following. So first of all, we need to find the degree of each term. So we know that 8 is a constant which has a degree of 0. I'm just going to go ahead and do this. So the 8 has a degree of 0. The exponent on x here is 1, so this term has a degree of 1. This term has a degree of 3. Here it's 4, and here it's 5. The degree of the polynomial is the degree of the leading term. That's this term here. And so that would be 5. Or we say the degree is 5, or it's a 5th degree polynomial. We said the leading term is 12x to the 5th. The leading coefficient would be the 12. Notice it's not which term that comes first that matters, it's the term of highest degree. And then finally the constant term, that's the 8. On number 2, we're finding f of negative 4, so what I like to do is make a skeleton or a shell. We can just rewrite the same exact function, but wherever you see an x, we're going to put parentheses. And so if we're finding negative 4, we're just going to replace x with negative 4 in all the places where x was. So this will be negative 64. Remember, we're using order of operations here, so we'll go from left to right here. It'll be minus 8 times 16. Negative 4 times negative 4 is 16. Minus 28 minus 20. And you can certainly put that into your calculator. You get negative 240. On number 3, we're going to simplify by combining like terms. So notice we've got a 3x to the 4th and a 1x to the 4th, and so that'll give us 4x to the 4th. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next power down. That would be x cubed. It looks like there's only one of those terms, so it'll be minus 7x cubed. Then we'll do our x squared terms. We've got a minus 1x squared. Looks like that's all we've got. You could put a 1. We don't really need the 1 here. And then we've got a couple x terms, 4x and 2x. That's going to give us 6x. So plus 6x. And finally, we've got these minus 5 and minus 6 constant terms. That'll add up to a minus 11. And that looks good. Let's go ahead and move on to number 4. So I'm going to adjust my camera here. Alright, so on number 4, we're adding two polynomials. We have a plus in between the two. And in fact, these are just ones out here, understood to be ones. And really, we can just drop the parentheses there. Multiplying by 1 doesn't change anything. So we have x squared minus 3x cubed plus x minus 4 plus 7 minus x squared plus 8x cubed. So again, I want to start with my highest powered terms. I've got a minus 3x cubed and 8x cubed. That's going to be a plus 5x cubed. And then we've got a couple of x squared, a 1x squared and a minus 1x squared. Now those add up to 0. Let's see, we've got an x term. That's it, so plus x. And finally, 1, 2, 3, 4, a couple of constants, negative 4 and 7, we're going to get plus 3. So notice a lot of this just canceled out. Remember, you can only combine your like terms. Now, number 5, subtraction is very similar, except for here we have to distribute a negative 1. And so when we do that, each of the terms inside the second parentheses is going to change signs. So we can go ahead and drop the parentheses here. Again, this is just a 1, and 1 times anything is itself. And then this x squared becomes a minus x squared. The minus 4x becomes a plus 4x. And plus 8 becomes a minus 8. And then we'll combine our like terms. We've got 3x squared and a minus 1x squared is 2x squared. We've got a minus 2x and a plus 4x, that's plus 2x. And finally 5 and negative 8, that's going to give us a minus 3. So 2x squared plus 2x minus 3. Alright, so now we're in the multiplication. So on number 6, we're just distributing here, and we'll do that times each term in here. This is a trinomial, so there'll be 3 products here. So we have negative 2a times 3a squared, that's going to be a negative 6a cubed. Negative 2a times a 1a is going to give a negative 2a squared. We'll write minus 2a squared. And negative 2a times a negative 5 is a positive 10a. So we'll write plus 10a. All right, on number 7, now we're into a binomial times a binomial. So we're going to be foiling this. We're going to so when we say FOIL, F is for first, O is for outer, I is for inner, and L is for last. So we'll multiply our first terms, we get 6x squared. We'll multiply the outer terms, 2x times a minus 4 is a minus 8x. We'll multiply our inner terms, that's 21x. And we'll multiply our last terms, that's going to give us a minus 28. Another way to think of this, other than FOIL, which is just an acronym that tells us how to do these 4 products, is notice we've distributed this 2x times each of these 2 terms, and then we distribute the 7 times each of the 2 terms. Notice we have a couple of like terms. We're going to end up with 6x squared plus 13x minus 28. All right, let's move on to number 8. Now this is what I call FOIL in disguise. You can't just square this guy and square this guy and put a minus or a plus in between. There is no property of exponents for a situation like this. We just have to remember what this 2 means. It means 2 of these guys multiplied. So it's 5x minus 3y times 5x minus 3y. So again, we'll multiply our first terms, we get 25x squared. The outer terms, we get minus 15xy. Notice I'll put the variables in alphabetical order. We've got an inner product of minus 15xy. And we have a last product of negative 3y times negative 3y. That's going to be a plus 9y squared. So we end up with, let's see, 25x squared minus 30xy plus 9y squared. All right. So on number 9, we're going to do something similar to what we did up here. We're going to distribute each term here, each of these binomials, times each term here. Just like here we distributed the 2x times each, and then the 7 times each of the 2. So here we'll multiply 3 times. X squared is x cubed. X times 5x, that's going to be a plus 5x squared. And x times a minus 1 is minus x. Then we'll distribute the 3. We're going to have 3x squared. I'm going to write that right below the other x squared term. And 3 times 5x, that's going to be 15x. And 3 times a minus 1 is minus 3. So I'm going to drop the x cubed. I've got 8x squared here. 15x and a minus 1x, that's 14x minus 3. So that'll be our final answer. And finally, we got one more we have to FOIL, but this is one of our special cases. 3x squared minus 11 times 3x squared plus 11. We learn when we have the same terms, but just opposite sign in between, we're going to end up with the difference of squares. Now you can just FOIL this, but because the inner and outer products are opposites, they're going to add up to 0. So I normally just multiply my first terms. I get 9x to the 4th here. So I just multiply these guys, and then I'll multiply the last terms. So that's going to be minus a 121. And again, we get a difference of squares. Think of this as 3x squared times 3x squared. And again, you could do the inner and outer product, but those just add up to 0. All right, so that's the first part of our test. And so that's just the basics of combining like terms with polynomials, adding and subtracting, and multiplying. And so next we're going to look at factoring. And actually, I think I'll stop right here and I'll make a separate video for that.